SuperHouse, the podcast that Batman fans are raving about. Bob Kane would surely give them a solid 10 plus.
I don't know, man. Something about when I take a shower, my they hang lower than normal.
Right. What? Maybe they heat up or something.
Part of aging.
Yeah.
Happens to us all, Master Andrew.
Maybe just me.
So, welcome to SuperHouse.
I just want to reveal
My left
something
one
about
always
myself
hangs
every
tight.
time. Your left one hangs higher?
Yeah.
Gotta get that.
I can control it. Anyway.
Oh, I can do that too, actually.
And welcome to SuperHouse. We are the Dark Knight podcast you deserve and the one you need right now. I am Ben Wan, the man who knows too much about Batman, and I'm with...
I'm a Wolfie Cruz back at you.
And this is Andrew Bush. I'm ready to fucking rock this shit. I'm Batman.
Bat Drew.
Batman's identity has now been leaked
What?
on this podcast.
That can't be true. This voice hides everything about me.
Andrew took a visit to Morgan Freeman's garage this weekend, and that's what he got out of it.
Facial recognition does not work only on the lower half of the face just yet in Gotham City. This mask works great.
So we
I knew it was
added
good.
the mask, and we also have this, which is a more serious thing that we got, which is poster of the Dark Knight, signed by David Goyer, that I got at a Writers Guild Foundation event many years ago.
I'm going to hold it the whole time.
Okay, all right.
Ben said it's going to look better this way.
Yeah, it's an upgrade. All right.
He's
This
holding
looks
it in front of his
fantastic.
face, by the way.
This is amazing.
He reframed it just so.
I made it just so it could block
This framing
Morgan's face.
works out better, man.
This is
I think.
amazing.
Nope.
Okay. But, yeah, I went to this event and asked David Goyer himself about a couple things. One of them being Jake Gyllenhaal auditioned for Batman. Like, how is his audition like? And Goyer was not helpful whatsoever in describing that to me at all. He was
Did he
like...
tell you how much women want to just fuck Hulk? Remember that shit?
This was before. This is like right before that, I
Okay.
think. It was like right before that, but he was like, yeah, like they're both great actors, and like he had a good audition. I'm just like, that tells me absolutely nothing, but okay. And then I asked him in the elevator. I said, hey, there's a rumor that you had to convince Chris Nolan to give Scarecrow a mask. Is that true? And he's like, well, I didn't have to convince him. I just had to like describe what the purpose of the mask could be and maybe turn it into a gas mask thing. So I'm like, okay, that makes a little bit more sense, because otherwise it's getting ridiculous. Like, he had to explain to Nolan why he needed the utility belt, as we covered in the Batman Begins
Idiot.
dive.
He was just desperate to make a new Bond movie.
So I just want to make James Bond, but they're not letting me.
I'll never forgive Goyer for Zigzag starring Wesley Snipes.
I didn't even see that.
It's terrible.
You're the only person in the world that's seen that. I think.
Probably has.
I don't think Goyer's seen that. He skipped the premiere on
Wait,
that
so you won't forgive him for that, but you'll forgive him for Blade Trinity?
Oh, right. That one too sucks.
one. I actually never
Too
saw
shitty
that.
movie.
I never saw that one.
But I guess he had a hand in The Crow somewhat, didn't he?
No, not the original Crow.
Oh, that's awesome.
No, he just had
Did
a
he
hand
write
in
Citizen
these.
Kane? Oh, that's good.
Oh, that's good.
Anyway.
He was supposed to do another Count of Monte Cristo.
He
at some
did
point.
work on Birth of a Nation, bro.
I knew it.
I knew it. Fools.
He had to explain why blackface was so important to the director.
It's like, that's where I had to convince him.
Yeah. He actually wasn't racist. It was Goyer the whole time. Goyer, please come on to SuperHouse someday.
Yeah.
He's really going to want to come on now.
The invite is set.
We are, as you could already tell, in
Hi.
part 3 of the Dark Knight comics versus movie. And where we left off, the score was, I believe,
right here.
a
2-2.
tie. 2-2. And if we add up the points from the previous episode, it was 4-4. So it's 6-6 right now.
I just want to apologize that we ended last episode with soccer scores. I know we're American, but slow scoring game, man. Fuck that shit.
Yes. So now we're going to add up. But
Hockey.
we have
Well,
plenty
hockey's
of other
kinda
stuff
cool.
to go over for the rest of this episode on the Dark Knight.
Wait, what was it?
It was 6-6.
Oh my god,
Thank
dude.
you for paying attention. 6-6.
Do you cross it at the 5?
You cross it at the
4.
Yes, you cross it at the 4 to turn it
Yes.
into the 5.
That's correct.
That shit
Yes.
looks cool.
There we go.
what do you call these hash marks? What is it called?
I believe they're called tally marks.
Tally marks.
6-6 right now. So we'll see. It could be anybody's game still. So let's just dive in. We left off where the Joker got caught by Gordon, who, surprise, surprise, is still alive after faking his death.
We got you, son of a bitch.
Yes. So they
And then everybody's like,
standing
Gordon was very
ovation
helpful to me
in the
that day.
theater, even though I was like, nobody bought the fact that Commissioner Gordon was dead because he wasn't even the commissioner yet. So
they're like, what?
the mayor does give him the commissioner title when they bring the Joker in. So
Nolan
finally,
killed
Gordon
Commissioner.
becomes Commissioner Gordon. And
We got you, son of a bitch.
You
said
love that line. Wow.
He says it with such good effect.
Such vivre.
It is Gary Oldman. So
But you
that's
could make a
what-
whole Gordon movie with that guy. And he'd be like, oh, my stomach hurts. I got a headache.
It's him now.
What?
It's like an older Gordon. And there's no. This is like post Dark Knight Rises,
The Harley
where he
Quinn.
doesn't have anybody.
The Harley Quinn
Oh,
Gordon.
yeah.
That's the one I want to see. Or from
Oh yeah.
from the animated
Chris
series.
Maloney's-
I want to see
I heard
Gary
that's
Oldman
awesome.
come back.
Everybody says it's
You were
awesome.
cancer
so
Quinn.
funny. Yeah, well, I only saw the first episode. It was great.
No, he's amazing. He's basically a caffeine addicted Gordon who is like spastic and
He's all depressed and
whole
shit. Just
depressed and
always
stressed.
fucking up.
He
wow.
invites Gordon over to his place for a barbecue, and Batman's like, no. But this Gordon,
Crime never sleeps.
this Gordon hears word that Harvey Dent and Rachel have. Well, no, that only Harvey Dent has been kidnapped because we don't find out that Rachel's been kidnapped yet. Spoilers for a 12-year-old movie, but
Rachel!
he brings Batman secretly into the interrogation room, we presume, and we have the big interrogation scene. So even though we've seen Batman and Joker face off, this is more a bigger event. It feels in terms of the big talk between the two of them. If there's any comic book inspiration here, it seems like there's a bit of the Killing Joke in the opening, and where because there's not a lot of times where we see an actual conversation between the two of them in like a room, like an interrogation room.
This is when that movie goes motherfucking crackerjack.
Is this the good cop, bad cop routine?
Not exactly.
Sorry, fucked it up.
But it's also Nolan's favorite scene, he said, right?
That shit's
It's
good.
his favorite
Yeah.
scene in the movie. Yeah, in the movie. And
Yeah.
some people relate it to Heat with the
Yeah,
Pacino,
yeah.
De Niro, you know, when
Yeah.
Pacino's like,
Alright.
"You are going down." But
Yeah.
in this part,
Quit being a
it's
meanie.
different. It's a little different because he's been caught, and we have like these mind games going on. If I had a small nitpick, I kind of wish it was the reverse lighting-wise.
Oh, okay.
Because I like the dark lit scene in the Killing Joke,
Right.
and it seemed weird to me
That
that
would've
it's
been
like
cool.
it's a flat lit room
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Batman
yeah.
and Joker in it. I'm like,
Yeah.
should have switched that. Plus, it would have been more shocking. Imagine if it's like it's a brightly lit room. Gordon leaves, then he turns the lights off, and you're like, what? And then suddenly Batman appears, and you're like, wait, how did he get in? And that's just part of him being.
It's my ninja skills.
I love that he just smashes his head on the table.
Yes.
Says his entrance. Dude.
We'll start with the head. So, what's interesting is there's a small paraphrase of a Grant Morrison line from The Clown at Midnight, which was like it's one of the more obscure Batman comics that they drew off of that Heath Ledger definitely read because a lot of the parts from The Clown at Midnight where Joker lists out the things that make him laugh, Heath actually wrote all those things into his Joker diary
Oh, shit.
when he was trying to prepare for the role. So the whole part about like I don't want to kill you, what would I do without you? In the comic, he says, I could never kill you. Where would the act be without my straight man? So it's a similar sentiment, it's a similar line in this.
That's something that seems to like kind of follow the thread of Batman and the Joker. That idea, like we'll be doing this forever. or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah,
and it's like,
yeah. Like
yeah.
in the Joker's Five-Way Revenge, that was like the first story in the 70s that established Joker's as like this homicidal maniac. There's a scene where he knocks out Batman, and he's like, I could totally unmask him right now. I could totally kill him. But then he's just like, this is lame, though. Like, this is not the way that I would want to do it. And then he leaves him alive just so that they can continue the game, because he's just like...
Oh, right.
Steve Englehart also wrote something similar in Dark Detective, where he wrote, like, he's my perfect foe. If I was able to defeat him, then he'd be my imperfect foe. So he just wants this
He'd be a
dance to
chump.
continue going back and forth. So
It's like that Nolan thing about being so thematic. Like, it's the unstoppable force and the immovable object.
Right.
Like, they're the yin and the yang. They're embodiments of these very big ideas. And it's something that Nolan excels at. Like we said last time, he sucks at humor, but he excels at this exact thing.
Yes.
Which is why these two forces do need each other. The yin and the yang does need each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
course. At least for this movie.
for this movie, yeah.
And Joker's down.
Oh shit!
Batman has now killed the Joker on this podcast.
Killed Superman in the comics recently or something too.
In
Superman
what?
kills Batman in the comics recently.
Recently, he killed Batman in the comics.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about it another time. We got some Superman deep dives coming at you.
Yeah.
But as the resident Asian of Superhouse, I do have to say,
What? I got a beef.
the math
I
in
don't
this
see color pen.
the math in this movie doesn't always add up.
I thought you were good at calculation.
Lau's good at calculation, but the rest of the movie, not so much. Joker says to Batman, "You let 5 people die," and then. Yeah, you can take off the Batman mask.
Oh, man.
I didn't think you would have to wear it the
Woo!
whole time.
I'm back. I'm actually Bruce Wayne. Okay, anyway.
Bruce Bush.
So
Bruce Bush.
Joker tells Batman, "You let 5 people die," but then when Joker's taunting the cop later on, the cop says, "You killed 6 of my friends," and I was like, "Wait, 5? Who are we counting here in this?" And there's another instance later on where that happens, so I always thought that was kind of funny. But
this one goes 6.
6,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
he mouths the
Mouth
6.
6, yes. God damn it, I
Which
love
is
that.
it's a great way to do it from Ledger.
Yeah.
But I always kind of like, wait, he said 5 people. This is not something you catch on the first viewing. It's when you see it multiple times,
Yeah.
like nerds like us, where you're just like, wait a minute. When you know every line of this, then you start asking questions. But
Oh man, the more and more I think about this, it's just like, God damn, he's one of the best movie villains of all fucking time.
he is, and
God damn, man.
this whole idea of him wanting to get caught and the getting interrogated, and there's some other plan going on, ended up inspiring so many different movies afterwards. They
Loki and
stole
Avengers 1.
Loki and Avengers 1, Benedict Cumberbatch in Star Trek Into
Right.
Darkness, Javier Bardem in Skyfall. They're just like, he wanted to get caught. I'm just like, okay, at this point, if you catch your villain halfway through the movie,
Yeah.
I'm going to guess he wanted to get caught. So it got really old after a while.
But in
especially
2008, it was like, wow,
yeah.
he wanted this shit.
But I have to credit
Mastermind.
that plot point to the comics, actually, because a lot of the sequence of Joker in the GCPD is very much drawing off of a Gotham Central arc.
Okay.
That is, I don't think they've ever cited it in like reporting it, but there's a story called Soft Targets by Ed Brubaker, Greg Rucka, and drawn by Michael Lark, and the whole thing is about there's this sniper who's taking out the mayor and different politicians, and you see it from the cop's perspective being just like, who is it? We got to track this guy down. And then when they start to put the pieces together, one cop is like, oh my god, and he goes up to the top to turn on the bat signal, turns on the bat signal, and then a bullet shatters the bat signal, and Batman tackles the cop so he doesn't get killed, and Batman's
shit.
like, it's Joker. And
shit.
Joker's the sniper, and
That's pretty cool.
You're saying like, shit.
yeah. And then in the second to last issue, where they're like trying to figure out how to catch this guy, one of the cops like is about to go home, and then he hears a voice and he turns around and it's Joker, who's just saying hi to him, and he beats the shit out of him and he arrests him and throws him into the interrogation room. And that's where we get some similarities here. So
Okay.
in both The Dark Knight and in Soft Targets, Joker deliberately gets himself caught. In the original comic, it was so that everybody would feel like, okay, the sniper's out, everybody can go Christmas shopping now.
Okay.
But in reality, he had kept a hostage in a shopping mall. So once he is actually caught, more people go to the shopping malls to shop, and then he can unload the bomb and blow people up and everything.
See, that's so good. I
So-
feel like in these times, it's gonna make some moron like actually do this.
Yeah, I know.
It's so good and realistic.
That's like we need
That
to talk
plot
about
line.
Kevin.
The Gotham Central stories like all specialized in like a more realistic take on the Gotham
Yeah.
stuff, because
That's cool.
Joker doesn't actually kill anybody with his Joker toys and stuff that we talked about in the first episode.
Did any of that bleed into Gotham at all? And like the
A little bit,
procedural kind of
yeah,
cop
a little bit.
thing?
Not as much as I think a lot of the Gotham Central fans had wanted. But the idea of it's the GCPD versus supervillains and Batman's not really around, I think definitely got conveyed in that. So in both versions, you have a very similar idea of Joker wanting to get caught, and then there's also another cop who tries to beat him up in the interrogation room, and he turns the tables on him and
That guy.
escapes into the bullpen. So
I know you're gonna enjoy this. Just have to enjoy it a little bit more. He was way
I
out
just
of
want
line. Way off base.
You say, yeah, he's like, damn it. Police brutality didn't turn out so well in this case. But
Give him whatever he wants. Please don't kill me.
Gotham cops now wear chest cameras.
Yeah. I just want my phone call. That was another great comedic moment. Again, like Joker, despite being really frightening, is also really scary. I mean, he's really hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The opposite of
yeah.
scary.
He's
hilarious
having his
in
way
this.
with these normies, man. You have all these rules, and you think that they'll save you.
The humor, the best humor from the movie doesn't come from these Michael Bay-esque action quips that we were talking about in the last one.
No.
They come from the Joker. So I love that was an idea because I was kind of skeptical going in because they scarred up his face and everything. I'm just like, I don't know if they're just going to turn him into some sort of Jigsaw type serial killer villain. But thankfully they stayed true to that personality.
He's funny throughout.
Yeah.
He's
The
funny
pencil
throughout.
disappearing sets the tone for his sense of humor because it's deadly.
Yeah.
Also, one fun trivia fact, for a movie that's this violent and intense, there's no blood.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm pointing out there's no blood in the
Or
movie.
like Gamble's death, even though Michael J. White was talking about how there wasn't or he would think he was going to be in it,
wasn't
blah, blah,
really
blah.
dead, yeah.
That just in the end of everything, the way that whole scene came together is like pretty fucking jarring.
Yeah,
know?
you kind of
and then just
imagine it,
breaking the pool cue and just leaving those images to your imagination.
Yeah.
That's how you
it's
do
better
it.
than showing it, yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
That's how you do it.
I do wonder if they were leaving Michael J. White alive so that he would have a fight with Batman, because you got like
That would have been tight.
you got
like a
this
sub
martial
boss.
artist,
Right.
known
right.
martial artist actor.
He was waiting
I'm like,
for
come
it.
on, like that could have been cool, but oh well. He got to be Bronze Tiger in the Arrowverse, so
Yes,
he got to
that's
do
right.
something.
Yeah.
So,
Michael J. White's
yeah,
great.
he's cool. But in the what's the difference between Soft Targets and The Dark Knight is that Batman actually does make it to the to the place that blows up in time to save the hostages.
Okay,
so
yeah, for sure.
he almost automatically beats the movie version, but I understand they had to pave the way for the Two-Face origin, which is what we are going into next. So the next big difference between the comics and the movie is, of course, the origin of Two-Face. In the comics, the original idea was that in the courthouse, Harvey Dent was prosecuting Boss Maroni, and Boss Maroni threw acid in his face, and despite Batman's attempt to intervene, literally in the courtroom, in the Batman suit, despite his
Never get
attempts to
over it.
intervene,
I got here as fast as I could.
Harvey got hit with the acid.
He's still got his tie on.
Ah, damn.
Damn it! It was too late. But
We'd have so many villains that would just show up someplace on time.
that's the original version, and it's been in all sorts of different retellings of the comics.
In Batman Forever as well is pretty much the
Batman
same
Forever had the
acid.
100% true adaptation to the Silver
Right,
Age version.
right.
But
Tommy Lee Jones.
yeah,
That was the most one-dimensional villain I think we've covered so far.
yeah,
He was
in terms
coked out of his
doing-
mind.
It was
He was trying to outdo Jim Carrey.
Riddler
Yeah.
being pretty decent, and then Tommy Lee Jones. I mean, he's a good actor, but goddamn,
Yeah.
I
It's
do
fantastic.
wonder if they should have just replaced him with just a more generic villain.
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
think part of it is because
The Pharaoh?
it's Two-Face.
King Tut.
King Tut.
Yeah, yeah, King Tut.
I don't know
Technically,
anything.
there's the duality there because remember they wanted to
That's
stay true to
true.
the duality.
That's true.
And 1995 they could have gotten away with the whole cultural appropriation thing a little better than today, as we talked about.
What
in
if
the Batman
what
versus
if they
Two-Face
make
thing.
King Tut about cultural appropriation now because he is a villain?
Yeah.
And I don't know how they would make that villainous, like evil.
Well, yeah,
and
because it's
violent,
not
but-
that he It's not like he's evil because he takes advantage of the culture. He just thinks that he's King Tut because he got hit on the head and developed this alternate personality. So
People are like, you can't do that.
yeah.
That's not cool. And
I
he's
think the
just-
bigger issue is him
him.
committing crimes, not because he really likes Egyptian.
Why aren't you Rami
culture.
Malek?
That would be amazing, though. Rami Malek as King Tut. He was actually, wasn't he, in the Night of the Museum? So he would just have to be.
You think he's played some Egyptian roles?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not
I
sure,
think he
though.
was King Tut in Night in at the Museum, but I'll have to check. I didn't see those movies.
I
won't.
haven't either.
Yeah, but
It's it for kids, and I know we watch kid shit with like Batman stuff, but there's a line that's like, I don't know if I want to watch that. You know what I mean?
But in the original comic, he got hit with the acid, and the plastic surgeon, as we covered in that episode, You weren't there, Wolfie, but the plastic surgeon wasn't around to do it because the surgeon that they wanted was it was 1942, so he was in a concentration camp. So because of Hitler, Two-Face is born. Harvey Dent decides to become Two-Face, and he takes a knife and he carves the other side of Maroni's coin. It was originally Maroni's coin into a scarred one, and decides to tempt fate, or say that morality is now up in the hands of fate. So that's how he becomes Two-Face. In the movie, of course, there's a different version that has a lot of thematic ties even before he becomes Two-Face. So apparently his nickname among internal affairs is Harvey Two-Face.
Yeah, I liked that. It was a nice touch.
Yeah.
They call him that because they feel like he was backstabbing him because he was putting away so many corrupt cops.
Right.
So that was cool. The idea of being obsessed with a 50-50 chance comes from how Batman and the cops had a 50-50 chance in saving either him or Rachel.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then the coin.
That's cool. I never caught that.
Yeah, one of the best scenes with Harvey in it, with no dialogue, is when he wakes up in the hospital and he sees the coin, and when he turns it over, he sees the scars on it. That's when he realizes Rachel's dead.
Yeah.
Because he remembers he gave her the coin. Yeah. We'll get into that later. He remembers he gave her the coin, and then that's where he just goes nuts. So the coin not just represents his new morality, but also represents his loss as a character.
Yeah, it's good.
So, and then of course the scarring comes because he was trying to escape and accidentally doused half his face in gasoline, and then the place blew up and he got hit with a fire because Batman let him too close to where it was the explosion. We had that horrific shot of him just in slow motion with the fire burning his flesh, but it was good. And
I could smell that scene, the gasoline and the fire, just fuck, dude.
For sure.
If I ever get disfigured, I'm evil right away. Right away.
You're going Sith, baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Give me all the money.
I hate you. No, that's a different franchise.
I like how there's also the line earlier where he's like, I make my own luck.
Yeah.
But then that also paints a picture of how deep his determination is to have things go his way.
Yeah.
Like with that insane criminal when he's just like, he's gonna go with whatever it is, and he's pretty sure he makes his own luck. He's pretty sure he's gonna kill that guy.
Right.
And
he's pretty sure he's not gonna kill the guy because he says if it's Tails, then you die.
Yeah.
And he knows it's never gonna. Or Tails,
the psychosis. The psychosis there. How easily swayed he is by just that idea.
That's why later on Joker's like, you had plans. Look where that led you. So that's how he turns into Two-Face. But this is not the first time we've seen an explosion create Two-Face in the 1950s comics when they brought Two-Face back. Because originally in the Golden Age, Two-Face got cured and he got his face back and he lived happily ever after with his wife.
Ooh, that's a hard pill to swallow a second time.
In the 1950s, there was a story, Two-Face Strikes Again, and that was the first time they called him Harvey Dent because beforehand he was Harvey Kent. And then they were just like, we've used Kent too much. We got Clark Kent. Kent Allard was the Shadow. So let's
Harvey Dent's mother is also named Mary.
Martha, yeah.
Martha. I fucked that one up.
It's like only one guy working at DC at the time.
Martha Kent.
That's all his immediate family.
So in Two-Face Strikes Again, Harvey sees these criminals create an act, and he's like, as a former district attorney, I got to stop this. And he goes in, and instead there's an explosion that blows off half his face, and he's like, I'm Two-Face again. This is meant to happen. I will
it's
be
my
evil
destiny
forever. So that was the first time an explosion happened, and then of course Harvey Dent in the Batman animated series was caught in an explosion that blew off half his face.
Animation in that moment when he lands on the bridge and that thing blows, just as the ragdoll.
Yeah.
Like animation of the whole thing.
And
it's
then
just
Conroy's
so visceral, man.
Conroy's reaction when he turns him over, he's like, Harvey.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Your face is so ugly.
Did he say that?
You'll never get laid.
Okay.
No, he says Harvey. No.
Okay.
All he says is, oh.
You know who I did love though was
You'll never get laid.
What was it? Sugar and Spice?
In Batman Forever?
That was a good part of that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, you like those women on that thing there,
I
boy?
liked that.
More so of Spice, I'd
If
say.
I was him, yeah.
Here's Spice. I have to see him
Yeah,
again
Spice
to really
for sure.
judge.
Spice for sure.
Yeah.
Kinda-
Originally, they were called Leather and Lace in the scripts.
Ooh.
But I think they thought
Clive
it was,
Barker's
they
Batman.
thought they were too suggestive, I guess. So it was Sugar and Spice. But yeah,
You like
Maroni.
women to sit on... Never mind. You said the Pornhub episode. You like women to sit on your face or some shit?
Until I'm dead.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Just smash me.
Okay.
You can send those DMs over to Wolfie Cruz on Instagram.
Currently only employed part-time.
Yes.
His face is
that's a
available.
factor.
Sugar and
Just
Spice, if you're still there.
until there's no more oxygen.
We should maybe contact those actors,
What,
whatever.
Drew Barrymore?
Was that who it was?
Drew Barrymore.
Man, I can't remember this stuff. Who was the
she
other
was
one
Sugar.
then?
Debbie Mazar. We can probably contact her.
Debbie Mazar. Let's get on Debbie. Come on.
Debbie,
Yeah.
come on the podcast and sit on Wolfie's face.
Yes, Wolfie's available. Sorry if we've already been a bit too much already.
Everything's coming up Millhouse.
But in the original comic, it was Boss Maroni. Boss Maroni's main purpose has always been to throw the acid in Harvey's face, and so it was interesting that in the movie, it was almost like he was there as a red herring, where he didn't really have much of a role. We kind of knew he was connected to the cops, who then helped out Joker's plan. It's a very small connection, but he's a part of that.
The influence factor is there, though, how people viewed this up-and-coming district attorney fearless character.
And how quickly he could fall.
Yeah, that was cool. Thematically.
Yeah. But Maroni, in the live-action adaptations with this and in Gotham, he showed up in Gotham, to also not throw acid in Harvey Dent's face whatsoever. Yeah. So it's interesting how they're just like, let's adapt this character, but not actually do the part that he's supposed to do in here. But
in this movie, they should have threw it and he should have dodged it.
Well, I think that's what they're trying to reference
Psych,
in the beginning when the guy pulls the gun on him.
Okay.
And he's like, I recommend you buy American. Like, I think that's pretty much...
That's probably,
a reference.
Like American Acid?
No, it's talking about the gun.
No, I know. I don't get.
Anyways,
they should have had acid first. He dodges it, and then
he tries the gun,
and then he karate chops him.
But also, the Joker in this scene, we've already gotten to the point where we're in the hospital bed, right?
I mean, we're jumping ahead, but yeah, we're talking about Two-Face's origin in general.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Joker essentially has something to do with his creation, like in this movie.
Yeah, he has a big
his
hand
mental
in
state
the creation. Yeah,
and it's kind of it plays into again the theme of Joker trying to bring somebody down to his level.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he succeeds with Harvey.
Yes.
But does not succeed with, of course, Gotham or
the
Batman himself.
Yeah. But he succeeds with Two-Face, and that's exactly what that's all he needed, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the Two-Face origin then, comics versus movie. Let's start the competition, starting with Andrew.
Comics, I guess.
Really?
I like this one though. I like this one a lot.
What do you prefer about the comic origin of Two-Face then? So you prefer the acid in the face in the courtroom?
Yeah, maybe I do. I think I do.
Interesting.
They both carry a lot of meaning, and I mean, I guess that's the point of like adapting and everything. That's the tough call, actually. I've been pretty like stalwart about my points on the other things, but this is tough.
Well, Andrew says comics, so Wolfie, what do you say?
I think I'm gonna stick with the movie on this one, because that, like you said, that shot where he's like, ah,
it is. It's awesome.
He's like spitting
awesome.
the gasoline up and stuff. It was just really good. And then seeing, I knew Rachel was gonna die, and
you know what? Maybe I should change. I feel like I'm being convinced the other way.
Well, yeah. I mean, here's what's interesting.
They're great.
My vote is actually for the movie. I know it's shocking because a lot of times I'm just like, it's always the comics.
Yeah.
But in this one, I'm just like, you had a cool explanation for Two-Face. You had a cool explanation for at least the scarring of the coin and what its representation and the idea of 50-50. We'll get into the hospital scene later, but in terms of just the scarring itself, and it just seems to be more plausible that the gasoline thing is what scarred half his face as opposed to acid just happening.
I'm going movie. He convinced me.
All right,
peer pressure maybe, but
movie.
the movie.
All right, movie
That's
wins
true.
when it comes to Two-Face.
Now that I think about it, it's not so personal. That original
right, because
you know what I mean. It's gang violence essentially.
Yeah, like Maroni's never really a big, like he's not that big of an emotional trigger.
Yeah. This has a bigger emotional beat in this movie.
When it's Joker doing this, specifically this, because if it was Joker throwing the acid in the courtroom, I'd just be like, okay, whatever. But in this version, because of how it's set up with the 50-50 chance of whether you save like Dent or Rachel, and how the scarring happens and how the coin gets marred, and how like Harvey's just like, you know that name they called me in Internal Affairs. Say it! So, I'm like, okay, like, I understand. I get this.
Say it!
that was scary.
Everybody jumped in the theater. That was probably the only time that you were scared that had nothing to do with Heath Ledger.
Yeah. That's true.
In the movie.
That's true.
So
that is true.
Harvey, funny enough, Harvey Two-Face The only other time he's been called that is Batman Forever. So there's some interesting tie-ins to
yeah.
Batman Forever in The Dark Knight, even if they probably weren't trying to be deliberate about
Just
it.
kind of things that come with the lineage and like popular culture's understanding of
I mean,
the character.
I think it makes sense as a nickname because of the fact that in Batman Forever is just like he used to be really famous as Harvey Dent, so it makes sense to keep the Harvey part of it. And in this one, calling him Two-Face behind his back or Harvey Two-Face behind his back also makes sense because he wasn't like scarred yet. He wasn't Two-Face yet.
Yeah. I love how it goes along with his break too, like how he's just like full on gonna do terrible shit when he when Gordon's like, I'm sorry. And he's like, what does he say? Something like, you will be.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
Not yet.
Not yet, yeah.
Self-promoting.
Oh, dude, he's pissed.
I also, I know I've criticized the visual designs on these podcasts on the movie, but Two-Face one, I was pleasantly surprised because I honestly thought they were going to do some bullshit, just like he's got like a burn right on like his one part of his cheek, and that's
like,
it.
yeah.
But instead, they went full out and even CG'd it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I give you props for that.
Yeah.
Like, you actually went full out with the scars, and it wasn't just some bullshit of just like, I have a burn right here, so therefore I'm Two-Face.
It looked great. It
Yeah.
was really, it fit in this universe so well,
Yeah.
man.
It does seem to sort of tie into the Long Halloween design that Tim Sale did because of the fact that in that version he doesn't have any hair. A lot of versions have hair like in the
and
in
it's
the
kind
action
of
figure.
frazzled.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, but it went down. It even went down to the bone.
This is a serious
in The Dark
burn
Knight.
victim
Yeah.
here.
I like when he like wipes his mouth after taking that shot.
Yeah.
And you're just like, so grotesque, man.
Yeah,
There's
it was
the-
good.
The only
It
thing I was
good.
missing is his tongue just like sliding out for a second. And
That's
he
true.
sucks it
Some
back
of it's
in.
too realistic.
Okay, yeah.
How are you not getting an infection?
Well, in the How It Should Have Ended series,
Dousing himself.
yeah,
with
in
fucking
the How It Should Have
Purell.
Ended series, Gordon's just like, how are you speaking so clearly? And
Yeah.
Two-Face is like, I don't know. I should just be like, which in some cases wasn't that far off from what he was saying, but still.
Yeah.
This is probably the closest, though, that we got to a death in the family on film with Rachel's death.
Right.
You know, there's an explosion, just like how Jason Todd got blown up. There's no crowbar.
Wow, that would have been brutal.
But-
Pink.
on Maggie
Crunch.
Gyllenhaal, the one
Yeah.
female.
You can see Heath Ledger doing it though.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger Joker.
Well, he's beats Batman with a pipe in the
Yeah.
Oh
in
yeah.
the finale, so that's the closest that I've seen some fan editors edit Heath doing that. And
Oh, shit.
cut it together with like a Robin to make it look like he's beating up Robin
Oh,
in that type of stuff. But yeah, I mean, this is the closest we'll get to a death in the family in the Dark Knight universe with Rachel's death.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And an interesting touch is that when Alfred has that conversation with Bruce, and Bruce is like unmasked and he's sitting and he's all sad Batman and stuff.
Yeah.
The scene deliberately plays out the same way as the scene in Batman Begins when Alfred is comforting Bruce after the death of his parents. The music is exactly the same.
Oh, shit.
And they both start off with Alfred being like, I prepared a little breakfast or a little supper in that. And Bruce doesn't say anything and he's about to turn away. And then Bruce
can't
says,
eat right now.
Alfred. Yeah. But they're structured the same exact way.
Right.
So it's supposed to symbolize the loss in both cases, and that the loss of Rachel is also the same type of hit to him as the loss of his parents.
Rachel!
In there. Rachel! But in this case, he has to relive it, but also, as Alfred tells him, Gotham just has to settle for you now because Harvey's in the hospital and you can't quit as Batman right now because they need you.
He has to wait till after this movie's done.
Yes, he has to quit afterwards.
Yes.
Quitter.
And that leads into the
man.
next. We'll have a whole episode on that. This leads into Joker
Like I'm a total quitter.
talking to the Chechen in the warehouse in a great scene where he says, "All you care about is money."
Yeah. Yeah.
And he burns the mob money, which
I love
is
that.
a reference to Long Halloween,
That
where
pretty
Batman
much-
and Harvey Dent did the same thing.
Set out my philosophy for the last, like, what, how long has this movie been out?
2008.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the last 12 years, just been
Don't care about money.
ideologically Joker. I burn a few dollar bills.
Every day.
Every day. That's what that burning smell was when it came in.
I'm
Use
setting
that
up
to
an
light your
Indiegogo. Got to meet rent next month.
You want to donate money?
A GoFundMe to my.
But that scene is so good. Slides down the pile of money.
Yeah, and also another thing is Lau is on that pile of money.
Yeah.
Yes,
He gets
is.
burned to
Yes.
death and doesn't. This must be like
It's such a
special
like
skills of Lau's part, but he
it's-
says nothing when he gets burned to death.
Oh,
such
yeah,
kind of
that's
like
true.
a sleight of hand distraction too, because once
Yeah.
you finally get that way after the fact, like it took years to be like, oh shit, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's pretty clever. clever, you know.
Yeah.
Like that's
So
good.
Lau's dead now.
It sets up a lot about Joker's motives too. I mean, you might have probably already know already at this point, but it just really solidifies it that this guy is on another level.
Right.
He doesn't care. Like all the gangs, they all care about money. That's it.
He says, "I only burned my house."
He's really
He's bringing the whole
he
thing.
really is about. That's one of the few things he says that's really true, is that he really is about his message, whatever that is.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It
He's
is-
he's trying to prove a point. That's it.
It also shows his changeability, because remember in the mob conference scene, he's just like, if you're good at something, never do it for free. So
Yeah,
it sounds like
that
he's
hints
into
at
money.
something, right? Yeah.
But then it just turns out that he's just conning them the whole time.
Yeah.
So that's the ever-changeability of the Joker. Just like beforehand, he's just like, Batman must take off his mask and turn himself in. And then during this whole sequence, he's just like, yeah, I'm not going to let this lawyer guy out Batman,
Right.
so somebody kill him for me or I blow up
Right.
a hospital.
Yeah, I love how that kept like you said, he's just ahead of the curve, you
Yeah.
know, and like he kept changing
ahead of
his
the
mind
curve.
about stuff, and he's like, maybe you try that, you know, this. Like I don't care about that
Right.
anymore.
Well, this shows, it's such a great portrayal of the Joker and his changeability. So
I can't get over it.
I really love the sequence where he puts the hit out on Coleman Reese. It's such a small sequence, but one of the things I love about it is it's one of the few times I think that we see Bale as like the smartest man in the room type Batman.
Yeah.
Because he drives around and he knows all the names of all the police officers. Just like, I see O'Brien and O'Malley over there, so I know it's
Yeah.
not them. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, Jesus, this guy clearly knows like he's
That
tracked
is cool.
every police officer, and then the way that he saves Reese in the whole thing is just ace. It's been
Yeah.
how he crashes
Yeah.
his Lamborghini and then he just he plays dumb to Gordon. He's like, you think I should go to a hospital?
Yeah,
Or
I
he's
love
like,
that.
you don't watch news very
Yeah,
much, do
yeah.
you, Mr. Wayne?
That was good.
That's
That was
one of
really
the
good.
non-Joker laugh moments that really
Yeah.
pays off.
Yeah,
you like
it
the
worked
dumb
out.
rich Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
That I could have stood to see a little bit more of that because you only really see him like with the ladies and like looking like, cool.
Yeah.
I like the daft Bruce Wayne. It's such a contrast. to,
I
like,
think it's one of the best.
the detective aspect.
one of the best Bruce scenes in this
Yeah.
movie.
In the whole
That
trilogy,
sequence.
probably.
In the whole trilogy,
Probably.
but yeah. Aside from the origin stuff in Begins, but
Yeah,
the whole
yeah,
trilogy in terms of like Batman in his prime, because we didn't know it at the time, but apparently this is like Batman in his prime in this movie.
Yes, yes,
this
it is, yeah.
pure Batman in his prime is this detective moment. So I'd say that's a more impressive detective moment to me than the fucking bullet in the wall that we talked about in the last
You know, when
episode.
you explain the shell thing,
Yeah.
oh my god, dude, it's like totally wrong.
yeah.
Goyer, I mean, a lot of people have a problem with Goyer, but I'm sure he's a smart guy, and the fucking Nolan's obviously a smart guy. How did this happen?
Because nobody knows what guns were, which I guess is a good thing, but
Fucking nerds,
in the
bro.
plausibility of this world, not so much.
Don't know fucking shit about guns.
So this does bring us into the hospital scene that we were referencing earlier. So Joker cross-dresses into being Nurse Joker over here, which I know is one of Andrew's favorites.
very progressive.
I actually
moment
did
in the
like it,
film.
and Grant Morrison likes to bring up that he did this first, and I think he did do it first
did.
in Arkham Asylum.
Arkham Asylum, he wrote it into the script. They didn't let him do it in the actual
Oh,
comic, but
that's
he wrote
right.
it. He described it in the script as, quote, he is dressed as Madonna. This is the script for Arkham Asylum, by the way, not the script for The Dark Knight. In Grant Morrison's script for Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on Serious Earth, he says, quote, he is dressed as Madonna in a black basque or basque or something. I don't know what the fuck that is. I don't know.
I don't know about fashion.
It's the torpedo
Seeing
titties.
tights and lace-up stiletto boots from Open Your Heart video. His face is a grinning horror mask of powder and paint. His eyes are heavily made up with kohl eyeliner, mascara, and false eyelashes. His lips are screaming scarlet, and his skin is whiter than bone. So that was Morrison's description.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
I do love this Joker.
Yeah.
The Nurse Joker. It's comedic in its own way. It's demented in its own way. You
he
know,
brushes the hair back.
yeah.
I think in
He
one
gets
scene.
he's slightly a little bit more effeminate too. I
Yeah.
think like the way he
Hi.
acts. Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. yeah.
He was good.
It's just so good. It's
One of
so
my
good.
I don't know if this was deliberate, but one of my favorite funny moments of this is Harvey's waking up and he sees Nurse Joker, but he doesn't realize it's Joker until he takes off the surgical mask part, and then suddenly Aaron Eckhart starts like jumping. I'm just like, wait, you didn't recognize him before?
Dude, people are bad in comic book universe movies. Like they're bad at recognizing faces. You know,
Put on a domino mask. Who is that?
Batman would be so easy to figure out. You know, in real life.
I'm kind of just like,
Obviously.
if Batman ever gets bruised on the chin, or
Yeah.
gets his teeth knocked out, or has a pimple, he's done.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
He has
He needs a
cover
lot of
up.
makeup. Yeah, he needs to put on a lot of makeup.
Because he's got to put the black stuff on anyway.
In this continuity, yeah.
In like
yeah.
every
In the-
movie,
in
they
the
just
movie,
do that as
yeah.
part of the makeup, right? But if you're thinking like going deep
Yeah.
into the realism aspect of it, that's Bruce there sitting there like,
Yeah.
By the way, I haven't read.
would look
I haven't
weird.
read like one of the most recent series yet. Also, I did read Rebirth a little bit, I think. But anyway, I wonder, like, in this day and age when every phone has facial recognition.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, like, do they write it in now where in the bat mask, in the cowl, there is some facial recognition distortion software?
I think I've read something like
You know what
that.
I mean?
yeah.
I
For
think
chins?
you kind of have to write that in these days, right?
Yeah. Just to sort of gloss over that whole
Yeah.
plot of like this could happen. So let's just say he's got this because he's rich and he's got Wayne technology, and
Yeah.
let's move on.
I think that's
So
one of
you
the-
got to evolve a little bit. I
Yeah.
mean, look at like Peter Parker and Superman are reporters. Like, who the fuck reads magazines or newspapers anymore?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's so many of these elements that are so old.
yeah.
yeah.
You know, you're gonna have to just keep on updating. You know.
That's one of the best things about like these superhero mythologies, I think, is how
The
through the
changeability.
times,
Yeah.
contemporary, modern times,
You
like,
have
they,
to.
They,
Yeah.
they come up. You know, like at one point, it's just Batman Beyond is going to be Batman right now.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, you cannot have Magneto unless he ages slowly.
He's
It's
has to age slowly now.
yeah, because being in the internment camps or whatever.
you know, side tangent.
yeah.
In the cartoon, they handled this really well, and they just like made it like he's from a war-torn country. It's not as like gravitas as the Holocaust, but you could have like a Magneto that's like from Sarajevo or
You're
Kosovo.
right. Any war would do.
or
Really, I
some
mean,
shit like
it
that.
wouldn't have the same impact as
Yeah.
being
The
a Holocaust
Leewalds,
survivor.
the
but
Leewalds handled that very nicely in the first episode of the
that's
X-Men.
true.
Nice.
All right, back to Batman.
Back to Batman. Sorry, X-Men fans. So I have the final chapter in Steve Englehart and Dark Detective. As you
Oh,
guys might have
shit.
seen in the previous episodes, we talked a lot about Steve Englehart's claims that the Dark Knight ripped off his story Dark Detective, which featured Evan Gregory, a blonde-haired politician who's in a love triangle with Batman and Silver St. Cloud. Now, at one
It's
point,
a real good way to get coronavirus.
well, if he has the mask on right now, after Andrew had worn it in the first
Oh,
part
man.
of the episode.
I'm fine.
Anyway, in Dark Detective, Joker kidnaps Silver St. Cloud, and
Right.
I love that name.
Evan Gregory goes nuts and teams up with Batman to help rescue her. And in the process, they go into Joker's headquarters, which is a haunted house, basically of
Cool.
not literally haunted, but it's basically like a haunted house where there's booby traps everywhere.
Joker
And-
gags.
Yeah, and at one point, Evan gets his arm and leg literally chopped off. Whoa. In this instance. Dark Detective ends with Batman saving his life and telling Silver St. Cloud because Silver St. Cloud was going to leave him. Was going to leave Evan for Batman. It's kind of the opposite choice that Rachel took. She was going to leave him for Batman, and Bruce is like, no, he's going to need you now because like we still need him as the politician. So like I need you to get back in with him. And she's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like you're loaning me out to this man. You don't know anything about love, and that's how it ends.
Oh man.
Dressed as a bat.
So, no, I don't. But it was a powerful ending to show like this is why Batman can't love. And the idea was that Englehart was going to continue the story in an unpublished sequel to Dark Detective, where
Oh shit.
Two-Face visits Evan Gregory in the hospital. And from Englehart's words, he says, quote, in the next segment, that handsome, blonde, upright politician was extremely depressed over losing his left side and his woman. Then Two-Face came to him in his depression and had a heart-to-heart in which Two-Face convinced him that life is meaningless, that the woman in his life is beyond his reach, and that handsome, blonde, upright politician should make a 180-degree turn to the dark side, which he did. So
Oh, shit.
Englehart had Evan Gregory turn into a villain after getting disfigured from the Joker after trying to save his fiancée. Who was actually in love with Batman. So it is there's a tie-in to there. And he said, quote, in my version, it's Two-Face talking to another guy who's been heavily damaged on the left side and who is another golden boy politician. So it makes sense that Two-Face could convince Evan Gregory. They share a bond. In the film version, it's the Joker talking to Harvey Dent. Those two have nothing in common, and Dent has hated the Joker the entire movie. It has a storyline in search for a reason to be there. So that is his criticism of The Dark Knight and his belief that the movie took from his ideas.
This is
similar.
like even
Seems
more added on from last episode.
More,
Okay.
yeah, because I'm sprucing it out throughout
Yeah.
based off of what part of the movie we're
You
in.
think he has more of a claim to this one than the last one?
Slightly, but again, I'm kind of like, the whole thing has been about Joker trying to bring people down to his level, which is from the Killing Joke, which they acknowledge. So the idea of Joker talking to Harvey to bring him down to his level, it makes sense that they would arrive there without having seen an unpublished comic book script. Like, this is where I'm getting a little, this is getting less and less convincing to me. Batman agrees.
Wolfbat.
Wolfbat agrees.
Give me some nachos.
Over here. So
the thing is, like, there's going to be so much crossover with this stuff, no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, dude, get over it. You don't own the character anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine.
So he's all butthurt about it.
Yeah, but he's convinced that Dark
Batman's
Knight.
parents die in mine too.
He said that the script that he wrote was written 2 years after the Dark Detective comic. He said, quote, which is why the last half hour of The Dark Knight feels so tacked on. It didn't exist when they started the film. I'm like, okay, fine, buddy. Like,
this guy seems difficult.
He's got a chip on his shoulder.
A little special, I think.
Yes. So I don't know what he thought of Guardians of the Galaxy's treatment, because he's the one who created Star-Lord. And a lot
Least
of
favorite character in that group.
Yes, but Mr. Englehart, if you would like to debate with us, you're welcome on SuperHouse Podcast, or not.
What a
it's up to
stupid
you.
name.
It's up to you. What,
Just
Englehart?
kidding. Yeah. I'm just kidding.
Making fun of his name.
Stewart.
There is, if he has any point, it is, to me, I'm like, okay, I get his whole thing about Two-Face convincing Evan Gregory being more convincing than the Joker convincing Harvey Dent, because one of the things that, I mean, it is a great performance from Heath Ledger, but I've never been completely convinced that Joker was like, I've turned him. Like, Harvey, I've never been convinced that Harvey Dent has been like, you know what? This makes sense. I shouldn't kill you.
Only reason he's gone through insane trauma and probably already has that, maybe the disposition in his head already, you know what I mean?
Maybe,
So I think I buy it. I do buy this, actually.
The thing is, I'm not even sure how necessary it was either, because he already seems to have that resentment to Gordon, especially the part where he's like, not yet. So I'm just like, I don't know if this is really needed. The whole 50-50 fate thing, he could get that from Rachel.
That's true.
So I'm
I
don't know if I really need it. Again, it has great lines. The whole, like, introduce a little anarchy. And all this type of stuff.
That's one of the other cultural impact lines. Is like, people quote that all the time.
Upset the established order.
And everything becomes chaos.
Yeah, baby. Let's do this.
That spoke to Wolfbat.
Wolfbat.
Which is why he's burning money in the backyard. But yeah, I mean, I've always kind of just been like, okay, this is kind of a reach for me personally, but whatever. It is a good scene. I've just never been super convinced. But that does lead into the next part of the competition, which is Two-Face's personality in this. A lot of our remaining competition for this is going to be on Two-Face.
Okay.
Two-Face in the comics is kind of known for having a bit more of a split personality, especially as established in Eye of the Beholder and other versions, or the Batman animated series had the whole idea of Big Bad Harv, and that the coin helps
Like he was
decide.
suppressing this.
Yes. Exactly.
I got that shit, man. Sometimes I just can't fucking do it.
Do you want the coin? I'll give you the coin. You get to decide.
Should I whack off tonight?
It says Scar.
No!
He says no.
Do it anyway.
You gotta store up your vitality.
Two-Face in the movie doesn't seem to have that split personality or that background. We talked about the abusive father aspect in the first episode, but that wasn't really mentioned at all in here. So Two-Face in this movie is kind of just more Harvey Dent on a vendetta rampage.
He becomes at that point more of a device than anything.
Right, yeah. So the coin toss kind of has a symbolic function to him in terms of just like, Rachel had, everybody gets the same chance as Rachel type of thing. But in the comic, it's always usually because he has to decide which side of himself is going to win out.
The good devil or the angel on the shoulder or whatever.
Right.
The devil or the good, whatever, you get it.
The good side or the bad side?
Angel
of
or
the coin.
demon, bro.
Yeah.
Fool me once. Fool me. You're not going to do it again.
Can't get fooled again. All right, GW.
Heads I win, tails you lose.
But with Two-Face, what do you prefer? The comic book type of split personality or Harvey Dent on a vendetta?
I like the split personality, but I don't think you could have these two villains in the same movie.
Two villains of Two-Face and Two-Face?
No, Two-Face and Joker. It'd be too much to establish like that kind of like mental psychosis that Harvey Dent has, the big bad Harvey.
Sounds
thing.
like you're saying they should have explored this in the third movie.
That's what I always. And now that you bring it up, one of the things I was really, not that I even thought I would see it, but was really hoping I'd see was like the half like shawl thing over his face, and have Harvey out there like Batman is out there. He's a terrorist, and he just like gets all the cops. I mean, it could have been so. There's a whole other.
We can go into it when we get to the ending.
Okay,
but, So you say split personality?
I like the split personality thing. I'm gonna go with the comic thing on this one for a sense of balance, and also because we're gonna talk about it more.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go with that. Although I like this, but I prefer the big bad Harv.
Comics. All right, Andrew.
Yeah, I might go comics too, just because I don't know. It kind of ties in better with his personality, but I'm not sure exactly how they would have achieved that in this movie, unless they really delve down into like bipolar disorder stuff, and I don't know. I don't know how they would do it, but
I'd say it's probably more likely it's not quite dissociative identity disorder, because it's not like he doesn't remember what his alters or other personalities are.
Yeah.
But it is kind of like that in there. Or another idea is that he feels like his morality is gone, and as he says, one of the best lines he has is, "The only morality in a cruel world is chance," which I think is it sums up the character so well.
That is very good.
Which sits nicely next to, what was it that Joker said? Oh fuck!
Introduce a little anarchy.
Not that one. Say the Two-Face line again.
The only morality in a cruel world is chance.
Oh, when he says chaos is fair or some shit like that.
And you know the thing about chaos, it's fair.
I mean, I believe in this character, and that may be a
well,
problem.
man, you're scaring me.
No.
I need to get you a therapist after this.
If you can.
I love it.
But yeah, I will also go over the comic for this one, just because I think there's more depth to that, and just the idea of his background from the abusive home and what that led to, and the suppression, and the fact that he tried so good to be good.
And it leads some unpredictability,
neck
right?
And neck, man.
We are still tied.
Unpredictability in the character, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know Joker's supposed to be like that too, but
it's
if
a different unpredictability.
If you leave it up to a coin flip, then it literally, that leaves it up for suspense.
Yeah.
Like we covered in the Adam West one that didn't get made. I don't think you were here for this.
No, he wasn't. Yeah.
But there was, how every Adam West show was basically a two-parter.
Yeah.
That's where stay tuned in next time or whatever. They literally flipped. This is an unused episode. Two-Face was never an Adam West show.
Yeah.
Right.
They flipped the coin, and then it's a close-up on the coin, and then they're like, "Stay tuned next time," and then they leave you hanging for the next episode. It's like perfect.
Really?
Yeah.
I gotta see
It was
that.
brought to you by Harlan Ellis.
They never made it.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
I have read
he wrote
about
that,
that.
Yeah.
Damn.
I love that. That's one of the best tidbits I've heard on this show, I think.
Yeah, and it was also how the original Two-Face story ended. In the original
really?
Two-Face,
Yeah.
the first one, the
comic in the comic
first,
itself.
Yeah, in the Two-Face comic, and I can show it to you right now. He flips the coin, and we'll show it to the
it just
viewers.
ends like
It
that?
just ends like that, and then
Oh,
you have
shit.
to wait. You had to wait two issues, in order to find out how it landed.
Dang.
Damn.
Yeah,
They really
so that was
fucking.
good. But right now, what is our score, Wolfie?
Give me 1 second.
He's drawing Batman on the other side. All right, so we got. What do we got, Wolfie?
7-7 now.
Wolfie can count.
I just learned.
He just learned how to count, and we got 7-7. I swear to God, we are not doing this deliberately. We
Tally
are
ho!
tied. So when we
There's
get back from the break, we will finish this off to find out who will win, the comic or the movie.
Epic conclusion.
What?
Conclusion, baby.
What?
Hey, everybody, it's Andrew. I just wanted to tell you about our friend Israel's retro gaming shop, RetroCo. If you go to retro-ko.com, you'll be able to see all of his retro gaming goodies. If you wanted to get that Sega Saturn hidden gem from back in the day, or if you wanted to get the Famicom disk system that you never got as a kid, or any other type of retro game that you were into, or import game, please go to retroco.com. That's retro-ko.com. And if you use the SuperHouse code Johnson's Ballsack, you'll be able to get a little bit of a discount at checkout. So please, once again, if you could just go to retroco.com. You can also go to facebook.com/retroco with no hyphen. That's RETROKO. You'll be able to find him on Facebook as well. If you were looking for that PlayStation import game that you never got, if you were looking for that Mega Drive game that you never got, or any other kind of retro game, any import game, it could even be European, Israel also curates bundles at RetroCo, and he'll curate that bundle just for you. So please, go check him out. If you put in the code Johnson's Ballsack at checkout, you'll receive a SuperHouse discount.
All right, and we're back, and we're going to finish this off, hopefully, to see,
We'll see what happens.
What will happen, who will win, movies versus comics. So let's keep going. The hospital scene. We've just left off. Joker has left the hospital in a fantastic sequence where they had to do it one take because they were actually blowing up this fucking building.
Yeah, it was an old Brock's factory. I was living in Chicago at the time.
Yeah.
The filming,
Brock's?
Brock's Candy. The filming
Oh,
of that
gotcha.
at the time being in Chicago where they were filming it, whoa, it was electric, baby.
Yeah.
There's something going
It was a
on.
real explosion, and at one point they had to reset the charge or something like that, which is why there's that part where it looks like the detonator doesn't work.
It's incredible.
So-
yeah,
Yeah.
that was real. It seems so real.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
What a
Heath had
miracle.
to play that off and be okay with everything blowing up in the background and just do it all. It had to be one take.
Because it
Yeah.
could,
You could only blow it up once.
Yeah.
in some alternate universe, that's just like an outtake that just like, he's like, oh, and they laugh and they reset, something happened, let's check it, and they do it again, or,
Yeah.
But perfect. It was so
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So they deliberately added that aspect because they knew they had to like reset something in the middle of it, so it couldn't be a straight explosion all the way through. So they had Heath do that. But there's a small deleted scene of Joker inside the school bus once he goes in. That's all it is. It's just a shot of him in the school bus.
He's
But
like riding.
yeah, he's just riding in the back and everything until somebody probably turns around and is like, holy shit. And then, but that didn't make it in. But presumably that's how he kidnaps Anthony Michael Hall by sharing the same school bus. And Anthony Michael Hall is seen in the video, which again was also shot by Ledger, where he's
hanging upside down.
Yeah, he's hanging upside down. And that actually comes from who Joker had hostage in that Gotham Central storyline. Soft Targets. He hung her like that in the same exact way.
really?
So
That's such a good visual bit with the papers falling.
Yeah, and he's like
Reading,
he's like
yeah.
saying it out loud with him
Yeah.
as he's so excited for this guy to say his lines. It's like, yes. So Two-Face obviously escapes and he goes after Wirtz, who's the corrupt cop who dropped him off. And this is kind of similar to how in The Long Halloween he went after his assistant, who's the one who set him up and snuck the acid over to Maroni in that. So that was Vernon Fields in The Long Halloween, but that character was taken from Eye of the Beholder, where he was called Adrian Fields. But either way, Fields got killed, and Wirtz gets killed in this one too.
Wirtz, what a good name.
What?
Wirtz.
Yeah. Wirtz was the worst.
He's the heavier set gentleman in the
Yeah,
bar, right?
Rondine, yeah. And around this time, Lucius finds out that there's a supposed break-in into the R&D department, and he goes into that room full of screens to find beautiful, isn't it? The cell phone
is wrong.
This is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got to the "This Is Wrong" scene, and in a 2008 podcast with Jeff Goldsmith, Jonathan Nolan said that this device was inspired by Brother Eye. If you guys remember, Brother Eye was actually in the Justice League Mortal script based off of the OMAC Project storyline in the comics, where it was like a satellite that Batman built to spy on metahumans and other superheroes and track their weaknesses. Obviously, there are no metahumans in this world, but he's using the sonar, the cell phones, in order to create sonar so he can find out where the Joker is, especially when Joker does the whole two boats thing later on. So that's where that comes from. Lucius, from now, despite seeing Batman flatten cop cars in the Tumblr, now he's like, this is wrong, which I always had an issue with, as we talked about in the Aronofsky script episode that we talked about. I was just like, okay, like, endangering cops is fine, but spying on people to find the Joker, that's bad. And then afterwards is the scene where Two-Face confronts Maroni in the car, which is cool. This is not the only time that Two-Face has killed Maroni, though strangely it's kind of rare for it to happen.
Okay.
Because in Eye of the Beholder, Maroni is shot to death by the bailiffs right after he scars him, and then Long Halloween, he's only wounded from that, but ends up getting killed by Alberto Falcone. It was only in one story in 1980 80 or so, in the late 70s, where Two-Face encountered Maroni, and Maroni shot at him, and the bullet bounced off the coin and ricocheted back into him, and that paralyzed Maroni.
What?
And Maroni tried to get revenge on Two-Face by undergoing the same plastic surgery from Dr. Eckhart, the guy who was in the concentration camp who couldn't make it.
Shit.
And he turned himself into a man named Anton Carousel and killed
Carousel Man.
Carousel Man.
These names, man.
Anton Carousel then killed Gilda Dent. This is Harvey's former wife. Gilda Dent remarried. So to get back at Harvey, for whatever reason, Anton Carousel killed her new husband.
Yeah.
So Two-Face is like, how dare you kill my wife's new hubby? And so he went under plastic surgery to take on a different, I'm shitting you not, he took on plastic surgery to take on a different identity, and then killed Anton Carousel for good. A way less complicated version of this, of course, is in The Dark Knight, where he just kills him in the car. But I thought I should point that out because of the sheer ridiculousness
Which was good.
of that setup.
The Maroni in The Dark Knight had like a nice weight to him. He had Eric Roberts has like a great screen presence as his character, and he just like he fills out this little bit of the story. And as he's like the last line that Two-Face has before when he's to shoot the driver or whatever. I don't know. The whole resolve of the Maroni story, like it seems like they squeezed out just enough that they could get for it to seem real human and for him not to just be like the mobster guy who is the catalyst for things.
Yeah, exactly. You know? I do wonder if it'd be better to emphasize more of Maroni than Falcone. Just in general, because of the fact Falcone is just mainly known for being like, he was the mob boss before these freaks came out. But I'm just like, Maroni now has significance. If he was the guy in Batman Begins, and then it took this movie to take him down, and you see Harvey kill him, there's more significance in that because you sat through 2 movies of that. I'm not saying that that's the. I'm not saying that that's what they necessarily should have done, but it could have been cool. It's something that you could totally do with Maroni's character in this.
I'm very interested to see what the Batman's going to do with their recasting of
John Turturro.
Yeah. Well, who's he playing, Maroni or Falcone?
He's playing Falcone.
Falcone, yeah. Like
I don't know if Maroni's in it.
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah.
Unless it's secret
No.
casting.
No, I meant John Turturro as Falcone, because it's still again like it's kind of that feeling like we've seen this mobster character. How many more times do we got to see this character?
Yeah.
What else can they do with him?
Especially because Falcone in Long Halloween is basically Vito Corleone.
Yeah,
I'm like, there's not much to this character. I don't know why you keep bringing him back.
Right.
in all these reboots. I'm like,
other than to be this like trigger character for these other heavier moments, but
I'd much rather see
John Turturro,
Maroni,
in this one though, you got like Falcone versus the Penguin, so the Penguin makes him his little his bitch.
That's
problem
true.
in
Yeah,
this
that'd
one,
be
you know
cool.
what I mean, you have that dynamic.
that would be
look forward to.
so good. Actually, now that you just said that, thinking of fucking Colin, what's his face?
Colin Farrell versus John
Turturro.
They probably have scenes together, dude.
Yeah, because they're both so well versed in drama and comedy. Like, it's so good.
Yeah.
This movie's gonna.
I could see a similar scene play out where remember the Chechens to the Joker, where he's just like, they won't work for a freak. And I could see Turturro's Falcone say that to Penguin, and Colin Farrell just go apeshit after he calls him that.
He's like, squad.
But that is the end of Boss Maroni and Eric Roberts, who then went on to say that his favorite Batman was still Michael Keaton, despite working on this.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because to him, Christian Bale's just that kid from Empire of the Sun. He's still just a kid.
He still holds resentment to Christian Bale for breaking his leg in that scene. That's probably what happened.
Doesn't he put a seatbelt on real fast too in this scene? By the way,
Two-Face.
Two-Face does, right?
Yeah.
Maroni's
like, I should have put it on.
Yeah.
I'm too cool for this. I'll be all right.
That's his downfall. Some people did speculate, I'm like, is Maroni alive? Because I'm like,
everything's okay.
so the driver's dead, Maroni's dead, but Two-Face still makes it out of that just because he had a seatbelt on, I guess. It's just enough. Yeah.
Survived
safety, bro.
He's just like an unbreakable individual. He's probably Harvey Dent was real fit.
Except for the end.
Oh, yeah. He could only withstand so much.
Yeah.
Half blast to the body.
Yeah, I know, right?
God, what about his testicle? I guess
he didn't get hit in the testicles. He got hit from like the shoulder up.
Is Two-Face's left nut also
purple and white hair?
Well, he would have had to have done that to himself. Remember, he just got acid to the face. He didn't get his entire body
obsessed
blown
with
off.
symmetry. He's like, I gotta.
Yeah, he goes
Sacrifices we have to make.
He takes gasoline to his nutsack.
It has to be symmetrical.
Clive Barker's Batman.
He's like, shit, I haven't burned enough of the testicles. It has to be cement. It has to go right down the middle.
God damn it.
Really got a hankering for some raisins right now.
This does lead. This does lead to the last sequence with Joker in it, where Joker is in the building and he has the fairies hostage. It goes into the whole two fairies prisoner dilemma stuff.
The social experiment.
His social experiment.
Exactly.
Which I always kind of wonder. I'm just like, if they did save Two-Face for a third movie, I wonder if he would have done more of that type of stuff, because there's two fairies. There's the idea of skewing morality of people, just like he had to skew his own.
The influence of Joker rings true into the next film, even though you don't have Joker or Two-Face in the next one, but also like these lessons, kind of that these seeds that Joker has planted that could
that would make sense.
The escalation of these characters kind of take from these earlier efforts to fucking
you could just see Eckhart
twist people's minds
on the side watching the boat and flipping the coin, just being like, they got a 50-50 chance, just like she did.
That's true.
But, but in the next one, it's planes.
Planes instead. You got two planes.
that was Rises.
And they're remote controlled, and which one?
Rushing this plane.
I don't know.
Joker dresses up the hostages in the clown masks and has his henchmen pretend to be hostages.
And those cops can't just wait to shoot somebody.
Exactly. They got trigger happy SWAT team, which I think is one of the more underrated sequences, because everyone's talking about like the interrogation scene or this scene or that scene with Ledger, but I'm just like, this is one of the best Batman scenes of the whole trilogy.
Also, I gotta say, there's also ninja martial arts videos on YouTube that show this move where, as you're fighting somebody, you're also wrapping them up.
Oh,
that's what he does, this is like a direct pull from that. I'm assuming a direct pull from this kind of thing.
The sound design on that Morgan Freeman voice when he's communicating with Batman through that crazy vision shit is just it gives me chills. Like, hearing it is so cool sounding. I don't know what else to say about it, but I love it.
Makes Morgan Freeman sound even more cool.
It's like he's in your head.
It's the voice of God, bro.
I do think this sequence, though, is arguably it's more heroic, it's more rousing than a lot of the other stuff, because of the fact he's saving all these people's lives, and nobody dies.
Yeah,
this whole thing until the end, but we don't have to.
Which also
the inmate that chooses to save people as well.
Debo.
Oh well, yeah.
What you got him on 40?
Yeah,
do what you should have done 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. You've never.
That was nice to see Tiny Lister show up, man. Hell yeah. I grew up with that guy. You guys ever seen Friday?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen Friday. Are you kidding me?
Man.
Yeah, and of course, so they switched it around, obviously. So the inmate is the one who decides to make the sacrifice if need be, and it's the regular Joe who almost pulls the trigger.
But that shit's so believable.
Everybody in
the
audience.
I believe every fucking second of those two.
I also believe in a alternate darker version where they both blow each other up.
That's true, but the way this plays out, I totally buy it. It's great.
Yeah. So the idea of Joker dressing up the hostages in clown masks, though, is actually from the No Man's Land arc, where he did the same thing.
And that was around the same time, right? No Man's Land was
8 years earlier. So more or less the
it's
same time.
About the same time, Wolfie. Don't worry about it.
About the same decade.
Fucking idiot.
One of the guys he dresses up in the clown masks, who gets killed because of a trigger happy SWAT guy, is Foley, and Foley was an officer played by Matthew Modine in Dark Knight Rises. So there's a connection there to the next movie.
Yeah.
But
you can tell they pulled from these really pivotal arcs, though, to get strip mine it for some of the better ideas.
Yeah.
And then also in the sequences where, to enable the sonar stuff, the lenses drop down, the eye slits.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep,
I thought that was also such a nice touch, because it's the Batman with the white eyes that you kind of. That's always been just like a suspension of disbelief kind of detail about Batman, but this kind of that was where the Nolan realism really kind of was just like, oh man,
it's here for that.
You probably saw this on Twitter.
Like he was thinking of
Twitter.
me.
Yes,
but like recently I posted about this. Speaking of the white eyes, let's talk about this for a second.
Don't hit me.
I always thought that was just kind of artistic flourish. You know what I mean? I never really needed that to be real in the movies. And
now, how do you feel?
But now, I mean, it's cool. But if it happened all the time, I don't know. I mean, maybe, I don't know. But it just seems like some fans just always thought that was like a real, that should be a real thing. And I just thought it's just an artistic decision. It's like, and I said this in my tweet. It's a weird comparison, but it's like saying, "Where's Hello Kitty's mouth?" I watched the Hello Kitty episode.
That's where that comes from.
Of the Toys That Made Us. Okay, and there's this big debate about fucking.
Just looking at his face reaction.
Stay with me, Wolfie. Stay with me.
He's like, I'm completely
She doesn't
lost.
have a mouth. She doesn't have a mouth. No, it's just not drawn that way.
Right,
it's just art, man. It's just this is the way the art is drawn.
I think I think the nuance of it is that they found a way to kind of bleed it into the realism. Not that necessarily that it needs to happen. And then when you have it, because you honestly, you could just be like, oh, he's using Sonar or whatever, and I don't know fuck all about Batman. And I don't give a shit about white eyes, but then you see it and you're just like, oh my god, all these
give a shit about white eyes.
It does look
childhood
cool.
flares are like sparking
It
off
does
of my
look
head.
cool. I'm not saying it doesn't.
No, I'm not saying. Yeah. It's
the first time we saw
nice
it, of
touch.
course, was at the end of Batman Forever, where he has lenses down so he can see in the whole like I see without seeing. That's so that he can see in the dark.
And I don't want to tell tales out of school, but it seems like the fucking goggles in the new bat suit, what we've seen of that yet, is kind of like crafting some sort of new look that captures that same sentiment.
The motorcycle helmet?
He had like something with the eyes is different. It's
that could have been
I think that's
stunt
the
cycle
helmet.
shit too.
It could have been,
All right,
yeah.
maybe.
We don't know yet.
Maybe. All right.
Just for eye covering.
yeah.
I don't know.
It could also be why
we don't know.
Snyder
Just
gave,
making a prediction then.
Yeah.
I think that they're going to play with that somehow in the new one.
It looks like it could, yeah. It could also be why Snyder gave the goggles to Affleck in Justice League as well to try to create that.
That would kind of make sense.
Yeah, that's true.
But I do think that it's something cool. One of the best things that I've seen of that was in the original script for the 89 movie by Sam Hamm, where he describes the guy that he's dangling over the ledge in the beginning, where he's just like, who are you and stuff. He describes a close-up shot where he's looking at Batman's eyes and all he sees is the reflection of his scared self back at him.
That's
through
cool.
the lenses.
Very hard to do in 1989 with no
Yeah, I know,
graphics,
right?
But
See,
very good.
Amazing visual from Hamm.
See, it's just always been there. It's a touch that I think those people who end up creating Batman and the fans as well are kind of like maybe subconsciously just really wanting. And I think when it shows up, you're just like, oh, shit.
I get the desire, but it's just I don't know what it is. Just like I never really,
It's not a detailed either.
I never
It's like,
really like expected that to be something that they bring over. But you know, I like it, but I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Honestly,
no, it's just in of itself. It's like it's very interesting that it's something that keeps coming back. It sticks out, and it means a lot. Like Batman with the white eyes. I don't know. It's a comic book thing.
I mean,
really.
They do it in 2012 Ninja Turtles too. The white eyes.
All right.
But there's not a real life version of that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Back to Batman, without the eyes or without the lenses, but him fighting the SWAT team does seem to be from the Frank Miller stuff, and then Joker trying to beat him with the pipe also feels like Death in the Family, as we talked about. Also, funny thing here, I don't know if this is because Batman's exhausted from fighting the SWAT team, but Heath Ledger totally kicks his ass in this fight. Nobody's really pointed that out, but he beats
League
the
of
shit out of
Shadows
him.
my ass.
The only way that I'm just like, he was trained by the League of Shadows. How does Joker do this? But whatever. Batman doesn't really outwit him. He just uses the gadget from the gauntlet in order to defeat him and throw him off. So I don't know. I would have liked to have seen more of a smarter way to go about it, but it still kind of works in terms of satisfying way to defeat him, especially the whole do you want to know how I got these scars? And he's just like, I know how you got these, and then he shoots the gauntlets into
That
him.
was a funny moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this leads to another paraphrase from Grant Morrison's The Clown at Midnight, because of Heath Ledger dangling from the rope and saying, you won't kill me out of some misplaced sense of self-righteousness, and I won't kill you because you
look good in that outfit.
You look good in that outfit. No, you're just too much fun. And in the original story, in Clown at Midnight, he says, both of us trying to find meaning in a meaningless world. You can't kill me without becoming like me. I can't kill you without losing the only human being who can keep up with me.
He's his best friend.
Similar stuff, yeah. But they
sense,
definitely cribbed from each other in here. And of course, the idea of him, insanity is just a little push. It comes from the Killing Joke, the idea of trying to bring everybody down to his level. Batman outright says, he's like, what were you trying to prove? That everybody is just as bad as you? And he was wrong. And
that was some
similar thing as the
Shakespearean
Killing
shit,
Joke.
man.
Yeah. I wish that there was another take on Bale's delivery of some of these lines in this last part, because it gets laughable when he's just like, the city just showed you it's full of evil,
out of breath.
ready to believe in God. I'm like, I get that you're out of breath, but it doesn't have to sound so over the top. Like
He could have toned it down at this point.
Yeah, and I just can't believe it. I'm like, there gotta be other takes of that where he says that.
His nose looks really
That
itchy,
was the
too.
best one. That was the best take that you had to use on that. So whatever.
They're probably all tired.
They're all tired. They're just like, let's just get this done and we'll go home. That's the end of it. But afterwards, we find out that Two-Face has lured Gordon to the site of Rachel's death, which is 250 52nd Street.
Oh, shit.
So if
Wait,
this
what's
is
that
the
mean?
closest that we've gotten to any sort of two-themed, because in the comics he's always about like I got to rob the Second National Bank on February 2nd.
At 2 p.m.
I just got it.
2:22.
He's like, shit, it's 2:23. We're going back home,
Wait
guys.
till
We gotta
tomorrow.
wait next
till
time.
tomorrow.
Wait next February.
Why do I keep
Next
fucking up?
February.
Next Tuesday.
Crime is surging every Black History Month.
Batman's like, we just got to delay Two-Face until until after the 2 a.m. slot, and then he won't be able to do it. So this does lead into a very intense sequence of Two-Face threatening Gordon's family, which I always thought was a bit of a jump to go from just like, I'm going to kill these corrupt cops in Maroni, and now I'm just like, yeah, now I'm going to kill a kid. I'm like, wait, what? So that always felt like a jump
Escalation,
to me.
man. It's going crazier and crazier.
Yeah, I wish there was a little bit more, maybe a whole movie to explain how we got to this point.
Yeah.
Just
Was
saying.
that the plan?
Yeah.
Originally, before Heath died.
I will get into that a little later.
Shit.
But
I've always wanted to know this.
Yeah.
What was the plan before they had to switch horses midstream?
well, the thing is, I think they already planned this ending though before Heath died.
Oh yeah,
everything was
definitely
already
there's
shot.
But everything, Dark Knight Rises is, it is what it is. So it's like,
I think the
essentially-
audience knows
it's-
where we're going with this.
Yeah.
I
when
think,
we get
I
to
think
those
it's
episodes.
it's quite good after the fact. That's not the argument, but I think everything that what Joker talks about is like if you if you leave it to these people, they'll eat each other, or when the chips are laid
When
down,
the
or
chips are
whatever.
down,
Yeah.
they'll eat each other.
Yeah, and that ends up happening, and there's a lot of these again like threads that or seeds that Joker plants,
Yeah.
and kind of like come into fruition later, and it's just like a snowball effect. They should have done a fourth movie, if anything.
you said that last time.
What would the fourth movie be? Again, John Blake gets killed because he has zero training outside
Yeah,
the police academy.
exactly.
King Tut.
Bruce Wayne comes back to fight King Tut, played by Rami Malek. There we go.
Just go.
Honestly, that's all I want now.
I want
It
to
really is.
The fourth one is the wild card, balls to the walls, Schumacher it up.
Schumacher up.
That's what we deserve. Yeah.
We go back.
I
It
want-
turns out this whole thing has
Back.
been a prequel to Batman Forever.
Yeah. I wanted to
Oh,
see
man.
Christian Bale dancing and singing like he did in Newsies. They messed it all up.
You bring the music that wasn't in the Batman musical in this one, the Jim Steinman music. Call back to our
You're
Batman
joking,
musical
but
stuff.
I'm fucking in.
Yeah,
I'm
that'd be
in.
great. And it's brutally
in.
violent.
A violent musical.
Yeah,
Damn, more into
seriously.
something.
It's like Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd's good, but
yeah.
Sondheim sucks. Or whoever wrote it.
Yeah, it was Sondheim who did Sweeney
music
Todd.
wasn't that
It's
good.
going to be Jim Steinman instead.
Yeah.
So, Two-Face
true. I
judge
don't
and
know.
putting Gordon on trial in a way is kind of like what happened in No Man's Land, where he literally put Gordon on trial. But Gordon was a little smarter than he in the comic than he was in the movie because he
He's like, "Nerd, my family's all caught."
because in this version,
sorry.
Gordon asked, he's like, I want to. You're all about justice, Two-Face. You want to make sure I have a fair trial, and Two-Face says yes, and so he's like, well, I need a lawyer to defend me. And Two-Face is like, who do you call to defend you? And Gordon says, I want Harvey Dent.
Oh
And
my
so
God.
Harvey has to argue with himself
That's pretty incredible.
to figure out
Yeah.
what he wants to do with Gordon. And at the end,
That might have
he
worked
lets
in this
Gordon
tone
go.
for this movie.
Yeah.
That might have worked as well.
Is he like
Except there's no split personality
That's
though, so he
true.
can't do that. He
He
still thinks of him
popped
as
up at
Harvey.
that scene, I don't know.
It's just him confused. He's just like, maybe I should do this. Well, maybe I should do this then. And it's like, what do you think? No,
He's just like, fuck it, let me just
think
flip
I'll
the
go
coin.
with the first
I honestly
God.
feel like that could have maybe worked.
Yeah,
probably.
Something
Yeah.
there, yeah.
It's a fantastic scene, one of the best parts of No Man's Land, which, in my opinion, is one of the best Batman epics. There's like a lot of epic
Right,
storylines of the
right.
comics, like Nightfall and
Yeah.
all those things. But to me, No Man's Land is where it's at. Until they
Noted.
fucked it up in adaptations. But
We gotta do a
anyways,
Ben 1 ranking at some point.
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Noted.
Top 5.
Next on the list.
Next, we got a lot of ones on the list, but in this finale, Gordon's family being in danger, including his own son, James Jr., does seem to be a callback to year one, where a similar thing happened, and there was a struggle, and somebody fell from a great height.
Not my boy.
And
Not
he
my
was
only
saved.
boy.
And then, of course, in year one, that's how they solidify the Batman and Gordon relationship, as opposed to here, where they already have a good partnership going on. And once again, Batman repeats, you don't have to thank me to him because of what Gordon did for him as a boy when his parents were killed. So that's a nice touch. I also like the touch when Harvey's like, "Why was it that I was the one who lost everything?" And Batman says, "It wasn't. because Harvey doesn't know
I
that
lost
Batman is Bruce Wayne
the
and was in
keys
love
to
with
the
Rachel.
Batmobile.
And it's a subtle moment, but it's a great moment. But we go into the ending here where Batman has spent the whole movie saying he won't kill people if you make the exception of the car chase where he flattens that truck. But if we ignore that, his decision to stop Two-Face is to get shot, and then at the very last minute he tackles both Two-Face and James Jr. off the side of a building, which then leads to Harvey Dent's death. Which goes into my own mini rant into this.
If they had only fallen on a car with some guy in it.
I know. Well, first off, Batman totally falls from that onto the ground, breaks his legs apparently, and that's why he has a cane in Dark Knight Rises. But he was fine when he landed on the car from an even greater height.
It's the weaved Kevlar, and the memory fabric.
It's from the downgraded Batsuit, I guess. But in this case,
he landed on the ears, and they just stuck in the ground. And then he was like, "Go."
So I have a lot of problems with this in the fact that there is. Okay, he has to kill Two-Face in order to save the boy, and that's what everyone brings up in terms of trying to defend Batman's choice here. But I'm also there is nothing calling out the fact that he broke his rule in this entire thing. That could have been why he quit. For when we get to Dark Knight Rises,
that's true.
But they never bring that up.
People aren't as vehemently against that as they were Man of Steel when he killed Zod,
or
that
Batman vs Superman when Affleck did it.
Yeah.
And I was just sure, Affleck killed all those people in there, but there was not such a big deal thematically earlier about hey, I have my one rule and things like that, and Joker bringing him down to his level because Joker wins. In this movie, he turns Two-Face, and then Batman ends up killing Two-Face.
That's what makes it so good.
That's true. Fuck,
the
man.
bad guy
Actually,
wins.
Joker wins, and also the door is completely open for Joker to be like, aha, you were going to try to take the blame for the fall. Now, I get that Ledger was dead, so they couldn't do this, but I could totally see the third movie, if Ledger was still alive, being just like, you want to take the fall for it? I can totally poke holes into that and ruin your little thing.
Before Dark Knight Rises came out and Joseph Gordon-Levitt was cast in it as that character, I mean, him and Heath Ledger, John Blake or whatever.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger and him share very similar facial features. And I'm like, I know they would never recast it, but if they did, I was like, get Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He would be fucking great. Anyway.
They didn't do it, though.
No.
That had to put a wrench in the works for sure. I'm sure Ben will regale us as to why very soon.
Well, yes, but here, Batman takes the rap for Dent's crimes to sort of preserve the DA legacy, and I'm kind of just it didn't work for me personally because I felt like there's so many holes you can pick into it. Joker can call that out. Ramirez, who's the Two-Face, who Two-Face spared, can totally do that. And then Gordon's family clearly leaves him in between movies, and rightfully so because he wasn't willing to out the fact that who actually held the family hostage. I just felt like it was unnecessary for him to take the rap for that, and Gordon's just all the people he put away will go out. I'm just like, no, they won't, because Dent put them away way back before he had this whole scarring thing. So to me, it never really quite added up. I get the idea thematically, but to me, this is Nolan's thematics kind of getting in the way of realism, ironically enough, or stuff that to me kind of was it just never really added up so much. It just felt unnecessary, and it never really had a good payoff in Dark Knight Rises, where he's he takes the rap for it, but then then what? I'm just like, okay, you could have a whole movie where it's about why this doesn't work. That could have been interesting, where the SWAT team's after him, police are always after him, Gordon has to keep the secret, he's having conflicts with his family because of taking the secret, Ramirez, the cop that Two-Face left alive, is having for survivor's guilt. You have so much stuff to explore, and they just just crapped all over.
They set it up so well too with that final shot and what Gordon is saying.
Oh yeah,
he has to run and we're gonna chase
him.
He
can take it, but clearly he can't because he quits.
Because the next
That's
one,
true. We don't know that at that time. But when that he's not the hero we need or whatever. That obviously one of the most impactful culturally. Yeah.
To get the title line in the movie.
Those.
He said it.
Those lines, the titular line. Man, when I first saw that, I was like, is this the best thing I've ever seen in my life? I fucking loved it. I loved the shit out of that. I still do.
That doesn't win Best Picture. I'm gonna kill myself.
I was just like,
And
man,
you're
this
still
is
alive.
This is a whole. This is obviously
Got over it.
that plus the Joker stuff is like this movie's a whole other level, man.
Yeah.
But it is definitely like thematics.
It got me laid.
It's just thematics winning out. We don't need to hear about
I
that.
think Taylor, my brother
you can tell us
Taylor,
about
if you listen to this, I hope you don't mind. But Taylor, I think, did lose his virginity around this movie, either before or right after it.
Thank you, Batman.
But in this, he again, math doesn't add up because Gordon says 5 dead, 2 of them cops, and I'm just like, who was the other cop? He killed Wirtz. He doesn't kill Ramirez.
So really,
Shouldn't
4
have
dead.
killed Lau, man.
And
Get the calculations going on.
Again, it doesn't really add up, and I'm like, and also he doesn't even kill 5 people. He kills Wirtz. Ramirez is still alive. He kills the driver and Maroney. That's 3 people.
No, those 2 kids in the car where they blow up.
What?
Yeah, when he shoots the cars and the bat pod
No,
comes out.
He's talking
Those
about.
kids
He's
don't
talking
die.
about Two-Face. He's talking about Two-Face killing. He's like, how do we cover up Harvey Dent's crimes?
All right.
He's talking about Two-Face's
Those kids
crimes.
don't die either.
That was my problem with that other thing, but we talked about that earlier
Right.
on there. But there have been a few times where Batman does take the rap on other people's crimes in order to be more or because he has to. So there's a story from the 70s called The Only Man Batman Ever Killed, where this mob boss gets killed and he knows that there's going to be a gang war if they find out who actually did it. So he claims that he killed that guy, and all the mob kind of goes after him instead, which is kind of cool. He's putting the target on his back. He's got to be, whatever Gotham needs him to be. But to me, it made more sense in that story.
Right.
So that's Batman number 301. But I also like the idea of criminals are now scared of Batman again, because Maroney's just, when he interrogates Maroney after he breaks his leg, he's like, we're all wise to your act. We know you're not going to break your rule. Well, now all bets are off. Mm-hmm. So if there's an advantage to this ending, it's that.
That's interesting in terms of like the way Zack Snyder approached that as well, because it makes sense after the fact, I guess.
With what?
Hi.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait,
Zack Snyder
How he
doesn't
approached
really
what part?
connect with this.
No, I know. I was just thinking in terms of like how Zack Snyder's Batman was like killing people or whatever, and then what you just said about how the criminals are now like afraid of him again. And
Right,
stuff.
yeah.
With the threat of them being dead, whether or not he does it. But then as these threats start to escalate, then also so does the methods of handling the threats.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
Which is what, and they're not directly associated, but the threads are there. And I think it's interesting how they.
Yeah. Connect. Yeah. I think so too. I think that the idea of Batman killing is sometimes used too much for dramatic purpose when it's something that we've seen too many times in the adaptation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh my God, Batman kills. I'm like, we've seen that. Like, you have not had enough movies establishing that he doesn't kill.
Right.
Or where he at least enforces that well, because he doesn't really enforce it well over here.
Too much tapping.
Oh.
Sorry.
From now on, I'm only killing every other guy.
That he sees. In the end, Gordon smashes the bat signal with an axe, which is actually in the comics a couple times. There's one comic called Commissioner Gordon Walks a Beat in the 40s, where Gordon is demoted into being an officer, and Commissioner Vane, not Wayne, but Vane, smashes it because he's sort of severing the connection to Batman. Later on, Gordon himself destroyed the bat signal when John Paul Valley took over the Batman.
They destroy the
mantle.
bat signal in Dark Knight?
At the end, yeah.
God, I don't remember that, I guess.
Oh,
It's
that's
at the very end where he's just like, you'll hunt me. You'll set the axe.
Oh, yeah,
you'll
yeah.
set
It's
the
part of
dogs
that whole
on me.
montage sequence
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the best movie you've seen in your life. I thought that you would remember the sequence.
Man, sometimes my memory ain't too good.
4 times in the theater.
Yeah, 2 countries.
2 countries, 4 times in the theater. Forgot
Dude,
the bat
I've
signal.
fallen asleep during my favorite shows. Like, it's just, it's hard to remember everything.
We have one final competition.
Oh, shit.
Here we go. And it's with Two-Face.
Okay.
Two-Face as a one-time criminal or as a full-on supervillain. Because really, this is the big change, was they killed off Two-Face. He didn't grow up to become or didn't develop into the supervillain in the comics. He wasn't a recurring thing. It was Harvey Dent turned bad, and then he died.
With supervillain or one-off, basically?
Basically, supervillain or one-off. They asked Jonathan Nolan about this, like, is Two-Face dead? And he said yes, because he didn't want to have, I guess, Harvey continue and do, like, rob from the Second National Bank and everything, which I think seems like Nolan just read from the 50s comics, but whatever.
Yeah.
But they decided to end Harvey's story here.
Again, it works for the movie for the most part, but I mean, you definitely get a whole lot more mileage out of the comics. So.
Right.
I also think
Say to the mic.
that there was so much more to explore.
Yeah.
With Two-Face, and they got rid of him too quickly. It would have been too damn good.
Yes. So, what's your vote?
But The Dark Knight Rises was okay.
What's your vote, Wolfie?
What was the question?
Comics versus movie. One-off villain versus supervillain.
Supervillain. I think they built. Why did they kill him? You know that whole.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my
exactly.
god, this is building up so good. It's just good. It's like a saga. You know what I mean? It's going. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but. And then he's dead, and then they do the thing with the face, and I'm like, oh, that's poetic, but he's dead?
Yeah.
And she's like, God.
I wish that he was just unconscious, you know?
I think I'm
Because
a
then we have-
supervillain
yeah.
as well for me.
Yeah. It just could have been so much more.
So I think it's too much of an oversimplification to just be like Two-Face just does two-tone crimes and that's it. Like it depends on the writing. Like it depends on where you take the character. I always thought that Two-Face would be the most interesting as like an anti-hero type or somebody who because of the coin he can be good or bad, and seeing Harvey sort of turn into somebody who he'd be unpredictable in a different way from the Joker in terms of like you don't know when he's going to be back to Harvey, you don't know when he's going to be doing villainous shit. And even just imagining an alternate universe where he did the fairy stuff and he's trying to prove to the rest of Gotham just like there's no point in morality anymore, and Batman has to fight somebody who he had all his hopes in, who he thought could have been the one to take this over, and realizing that he's so far down and figuring out like why did you go down on this path and I didn't, and sort of seeing the differences between the two of them. I think that it required its own movie, and the ideal trilogy is Harvey as his friend in the first movie, then getting scarred in the second, and then the third movie being the main villain, in my opinion. So my vote is
taking the role of Bane, basically.
yeah. So and it would be more emotionally. Sure, he might not be as quote unquote big of a villain, just both physically and metaphorically, but he would have been bigger emotionally as a villain because that would have been his main friend, and everybody would have been like, "Oh my god, I don't know what's going to happen." And to me, that's how you follow up on the Joker. You follow it up with the Joker with somebody who you learn to care about, and the horrific nature of seeing how far gone he's gone. Mm-hmm. So I also say definitely the comics, which means that in The Dark Knight, comics have beaten the movies 8-7.
You saw it here first, folks.
It was almost good, Nolan. Good
Good effort, man.
Good try. The masks are cool.
In the Dark Knight, in Batman Begins, the movie won out by 1, but in The Dark Knight, the comic has won out by 1 itself. So we will find out in The Dark Knight Rises how that one stacks up, as well as do an overall score among the entire trilogy.
Wait, so you have an epilogue here about what could have been?
I have an epilogue, yes. So, funny enough, despite how spoiler-phobic Nolan is, Goyer actually teased what their vision for the next two movies was going to be after Batman Begins. Right after Batman Begins.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he said, quote, "The next one would have Batman enlisting the aid of Gordon and Dent in bringing down the Joker, but not killing him, which is a mistake they made in the first movie. The first movie being the 89 movie.
Okay.
So that stayed relatively true.
Okay.
Third movie had a completely different idea, though. They said in the third movie, the Joker would go on trial, scarring Dent in the process, which would then leave Harvey Dent to be the villain of the third movie. So that was the original plan, was Two-Face to be the villain in the third movie, and Heath's Joker would have been in both.
Okay.
And so
Boy, that would have been great.
The Dark Knight is kind of two movies in one.
Okay.
In terms of what they did. And I don't know how much of that was really influenced by Heath's death, because obviously they wrote it and shot it before he died.
Yeah.
But that was the original plan.
Whoa, really?
Definitely. So
Holy shit.
So Bane's added basically only because Heath Ledger died.
I would say so. Yes, because Heath Ledger died and Two-Face is dead. So they needed a third villain.
It kind of makes sense
to go into it. Yeah.
I bet you the Joker would have come in where Cillian Murphy, where the Scarecrow came in.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
holding the
people
trial
talk
and
about
Well,
everything.
if they were to do that storyline, but if it was the Two-Face movie, I'm sure we would have seen a more believable, less rushed version of Joker having more of a hand in turning Harvey and influencing Harvey and ultimately turning him
from
into Two-Face.
Arkham or something, like
Yeah,
I used to fantasize about a scene where Batman would have to go like Hannibal
And he visits
Lecter
him. Yeah,
and
he visits him
visit
in
Joker
in
or
Arkham.
whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just do Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the shadows a little bit, and you just
it's not gonna happen,
too
man.
bad.
It's not gonna happen.
It's just
So
too bad.
the idea of Joker going on trial and Dent getting starred by turning into Two-Face did not happen, obviously, in The Dark Knight, but it did happen in the 1989 newspaper comic strip that I teased here, The Best Comics You've Never Read, which is an upcoming
shit.
episode that we will dive into. So just a little preview for that.
Damn.
Hold on to your butts.
That's how you do it. Wait, so that's it?
That is it. So we finally finished. We finally finished The Dark Knight, everybody. Took us 3 episodes. I don't know how long The Dark Knight Rises is going to take, because there's a ton of ton of comics in that one as well. But we will definitely be finishing off the Dark Knight trilogy on here. You done?
Yes.
Okay. So, on social media, I am Ben Juan Ryder, but I also head the Superhouse Instagram on Superhouse Pod, as well as the Twitter, Superhouse Pod there, and we are Superhouse Podcast on Facebook. We wanted to do a shout out as well to a lot of our supporters and followers. So, as usual, Shasta, Cookie Noms, Matt Herring, Alicia, and other followers on Instagram who we have not called on before until now, but Bruno.Veloso, Maeve-Ron1, Paul Sale101, Gaspar Retamales, Dios Smooth Kermit, John K. Reagan. I've brought him up before, but his Kickstarter has launched as of this recording, kickstarter.com/IBD film/I'll-B-damned. No apostrophe in there. So please support his Kickstarter. Also, Cult of the Batman. We are currently participating in Cult of the Batman's Cult of the Bat Challenge on Instagram, where you can see our entries into posting a Bat-themed project each day. Also, Lost in These Stories, who shared with us his Gotham video and was also very gracious about our
Thank
Cole
you.
Vallis episode. And Andreas _Snake, who, as of this recording day, went in and to our backlog and practically liked every single post on our Instagram.
Who did that again?
Andreas _Snake.
Thank you, Andreas Snake.
You
Yep.
roll.
You're fucking awesome.
Yes. So those are our shout-outs for this episode. And if we missed you in the past, maybe we'll get to you next time.
I just wanted to say Daniel Crozier's film on Amazon is called Isolation Man. I did some of the camera work on it.
You did some research. You did camera work on it. You don't remember the
You
name.
don't remember the name.
Oh my god, dude.
Isolation Man. Sorry, Dan, for the last time, but there you go.
And please join the Shasta Army on patreon.com/SuperHousePodcast. I'm Thunderwolf Drew on Twitter and Instagram. And did we shout out Cookie Noms at all?
Yeah, I said,
you
I said
did.
Cookie
Okay,
Noms earlier,
sorry.
but we can do it again. Cookie Noms.
Cookie Noms again.
That's KOOKIENOMZ.
Okay.
Because some people might not know how to do that.
No, I know,
how
I
to
know.
spell that
I
out. They'll spell it out with a C.
I'm losing my
They'll
mind.
never
here, I
find
think.
that.
Don't do that.
And also, take out your phone, open up the voice recorder app, record in that phone. I fucking love Superhouse. Superhouse is fucking awesome. Or something weird but non-incriminating. Share that. Press the share button. Email to superhousepodcast@gmail.com.
Put you in the episode.
You will be on the episode and tell all your friends about it.
Give us
So,
some nice cold opens.
cold opens. Yeah, man. You know,
Nothing
what do you call it?
racist.
Audience engagement, y'all. And I think that's going to do it.
We
Anything
would
else?
just love it. On Facebook, on Facebook and Instagram, I'm Wolfie Cruz. I got a meme page called Sentient Meme Generator. Check that out. There's only a few there, but I'm making original memes. It's a new
You're in
passion.
the meme game now.
I'm in the meme game. I'm an edgelord.
You're an edgelord.
And I also have a group on Facebook called the Overly Critical Hyper Analytical Movie Club. Check that shit out. We
Perfect
talk
for
movies all the
you.
time. It's really a lot of fun.
All of us are in that.
I got some shit to share now. Thanks, guys.
Cool. All right, and that is it. So tune in next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
I don't
Peace
know,
out.
I'm a vampire now, but